So, how far back do you think your family story goes? 100 years? 200? Well, for one family, we're talking an incredible 400 years. Today, we're going to unravel a genealogical puzzle that stretches across 13 generations and two whole continents, all pieced together from these centuries-old records. Let's dive in. Our story starts right here with a man named Claudio Campos. He was born in the amazing city of Rio de Janeiro back in 1965. Think of him as our anchor in the present day. He's the latest chapter in what turns out to be a very, very long book. But here's the thing. Claudio's birth isn't really the beginning of the story. It's more like the end of a chapter. To find out where it all began, we have to ask a much bigger question. One that's going to take us across an ocean and send us hurtling back through time. And this, right here, this is the sheer scale of what we're talking about. A 425-year gap from modern Brazil all the way back to the early 1600s in Portugal. So how on earth is it even possible to connect someone living today to an ancestor from that long ago? Well, you do it by following the paper trail. For the Campos family line, the one moment that changes everything, the real pivot point, was the journey across the Atlantic. This is the moment that replanted their entire family tree in a new world. Let's zero in on a crucial year, 1900. This is when a young Portuguese boy, Adelino Moreira Campos, first steps onto Brazilian soil, hoping for a new life. He's Claudio's grandfather, and he is the absolute key, the human bridge connecting the family's past in Europe to its entire future in South America. And look, this isn't just a name and a history book. This is Adelino's actual professional ID card from Brazil. It makes him so real. It tells us he was a vendedor, a salesman, and that he had a primary school education. It even lists his children born in Brazil, including his daughter Dirce, who is Claudio's mother. But the story of how he even got here, well, that's where it gets really incredible. So as we're digging, we find this passport record from 1890, and it has this surprising little detail. It shows Adelino's grandfather was traveling to Brazil and, as the document says, takes with him his grandson Adelino, 3 years old. So little Adelino had actually been to Brazil before as just a toddler, but that wasn't the end of his journey, because then we find these ship manifests, and they show him returning in 1895 on a ship called La Plata. But this time, the passenger details, they're just chillin'. He's listed as an unaccompanied minor, a child crossing the entire Atlantic Ocean all by himself to start a new life. I mean, that one line, it just speaks volumes about his resilience. Okay, so Adelino's arrival in Brazil is a huge chapter. But the Campos name itself, that's from Portugal. To get to the bottom of it, we have to go back even further, and that means becoming historical detectives, digging through centuries of old parish records, the handwritten archives of baptisms, marriages, and deaths that are the absolute bedrock of genealogy. And here's the first twist. The Campos name actually comes from Adelino's mother's side of the family. It comes from his maternal grandmother, a woman named Ana Carolina de Campos, who was born around 1835. She is the first link in the Portuguese chain that we're about to follow all the way back. So, we trace Ana back to her father, a man named Vital de Campos, and we do it through his baptismal record from 1803. I mean, look at this old Portuguese script. It says it right there. Vital, legitimate son of João de Campos da Cruz and of Maria de Almeida. And boom. Just like that, we've jumped back another generation. We now know Ana's father, Vital. And we even know her paternal grandparents, João and Maria. We are officially on the trail. The method for going even further back is actually this simple, repeatable cycle. It's like a game. Step 1, you find a baptism record. Step 2, you pull out the parents' names. And step 3, you use those names to find the father's baptism record. And that lets you just leapfrog from one generation to the next. And once you get into that rhythm, you could make these incredible leaps back in time. We apply this method over and over again, and look what we found. This is the 1650 baptismal record for João de Campos. It reads, João, legitimate son of Diogo de Campos. With this one document, we've just rocketed back another 150 years. And from there, we find João's father, Diogo, in this record from 1627. And this This is the one. It gives us the final clue. Diogo, legitimate son of Pedro de Campos. This is the oldest record we can possibly find for this direct family line. So, the paper trail goes cold right here in the early 17th century. We found him, the patriarch of this specific family line, a man named Pedro de Campos, living in the small parish of Requião, Portugal, all the way back around the year 1600. So, what does his name even mean?
You know, surnames are way more than just labels. They're like little historical artifacts, and they carry clues about where your family was from or what they did for a living. So, what story is hiding inside the name Campos?
Campos is what's called a toponymic surname, which is just a fancy way of saying it comes from a place. In this case, a region in Spain called Tierra de Campos. But what's even cooler is its ancient name, Campi Gotharum, which literally means fields of the Goths. It was a key settlement for the Visigoths after the fall of the Roman Empire. So the family name itself is an echo of this deep, ancient European history. Okay, we started with one man in modern-day Rio de Janeiro. We followed a dusty paper trail across an ocean and all the way back through 4 centuries of history. Now, let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together and look at the entire unbroken chain.
And here it is, the whole thing, the complete lineage. It starts with Pedro de Campos, born around 1600 in Portugal. The line continues unbroken for 9 generations. Then it passes to Ana Carolina, then to her grandson Adelino, who takes the family story to Brazil. And finally, 2 generations later, it reaches Claudio. 13 generations, 1 family, spanning over 400 years. It's just incredible.
And to really put that journey into perspective, just look at this chart. The family spent nearly 300 years rooted in these tiny parishes in northern Portugal. Then, in one single generation, everything changed. The last 135 years have been a completely new chapter, written in Brazil. It's such a powerful visual of what migration really means for a family's story. I mean, really think about the scale of that journey for a second. From the quiet, rural life of a tiny Portuguese parish to the nonstop, bustling, modern metropolis of Rio de Janeiro. This isn't just one family's history, right? This is a story of migration and reinvention that has been shared by millions of families all over the world.
The story of the Campos family really shows us that history isn't just something in old textbooks. It's personal, it's alive, and it's written down in the names and records of totally ordinary people. And it just leaves you with one final thought. What incredible journeys and forgotten stories are just waiting to be discovered in your own family's past?